Welcome back to All Things Acura. I'm
Matt.
Matt. I'm Matt.
You're Justin.
You're Justin.
And we're here to give you the Acura incentives.
This is the Good News Podcast.
The current Acura incentives starting October 1st. Some of these incentives actually were announced September 1st, but they made some changes October 1st. So we're going to get this information out to you. If you're in the market for an Acura, this is where you come to look at your incentives and learn how they work together. Mm-hmm. This is the place.
This is a place to learn all about them, because throughout the summer there was no incentive. So now there's a lot of incentives that we have to talk about.
Well, okay. So maybe that's not completely true. There were incentives throughout the summer.
We just didn't talk about them.
We did give you quite a few updates before that on different incentives. There are a lot of different incentives if you're in the market for an Acura, and we're going to get right to them. The one thing that's different maybe about this and a lot of the sources is we're going to tell you how those incentives work together and how you can combine them versus just seeing the incentives and then being off on your own. So let's start. Obviously, I did put on that first slide that these are subject to change because Acura does reserve the right to change these at any time. So that's our little disclaimer in there. So they can change without notice. We're not going to come out and always make a new video. So this is time-sensitive information. Sooner you get it. Most of these can be found on Acura.com as well. So 24 Integra, I threw that up there, including Type S, because there are no more incentives on 24 Integra. Why would I do that? Just because there are still 24s on the lot alongside those 25s, and there are no Acura incentives, i.e. special finance rates, lease incentives, or extra cash or loyalty on those models. So it's just whatever deal you negotiate with your local dealer on those particular cars. Those dealers have gotten some extra incentive money to help sell those cars. This is a good idea if you're just looking to come out and pay cash for one of those. That's probably where your best deal is going to be. If you're looking to finance or lease it, skip the 24, move straight to the 25 because it's not going to be competitive. So 25, excluding Type S, and in a lot of these cases we will exclude Type S. However, there are some Type S models that are included as we move on.
All right. You want me to
go ahead?
All right. Yep. All right. So we're starting with the finance rates, the finance incentives. We're included in that, right?
Mm-hmm. No, we're not.
We're not.
So one thing that Acura did, which is super confusing.
Wait, go ahead.
Is they've left out some of the United States, but not all of it. And I don't even know how. I type those out. Go to Acura.com, put in your zip code, see if you qualify. There are certain states that do not qualify for these finance rates. And that being the 3.9 for up to 60 months or 4.9 for up to 72 months. We know Ohio's not included in that. Sorry, Ohio. I don't know what you did. But
I don't know what you did.
I don't know what you did. But you rubbed Acura the wrong way, and they are not giving you finance rates. Typically, when this happens, it's an either or, and there's different regions that qualify for different things. But for some reason, Ohio doesn't get those rates, nor do I didn't say what states were excluded. I just typed out the states that are included. So go to Acura.com, put in your zip code, and see if you live in one of those areas, or if you're listed here on the screen, Acura.com does show that.
PA's not on there either.
Nope. So let's move straight to the lease. I don't know what happened.
Good Lord. I don't know what we. So all right. So the lease, we're starting off with the 0.00215 money factor. And again, they're doing the 24 to 48 months, which I do like the fact that they're offering up to 48 months. It's been kind of a nice thing that they've been doing, which is basically 5.16%. And that is the main incentive. And then they also have the loyalty and or conquest offer, which is available for current owners of 2015 or newer Acura, Audi. They would listed Audi twice. That's funny. Audi, BMW, Cadillac, Honda, Hyundai, Kia, Nissan, Subaru, Toyota, or Volkswagen. So,
and just know as we go through this, the conquest vehicles do change depending on model. So that is to Acura's discretion on which cars they believe are conquest vehicles or which vehicles they're trying to conquest in the efforts to give them extra.
And the Integra being a lower price point, they're going to have those other, non kind of luxury brands on.
And last but not least, and this is my last, so just so you understand our format here, the 750 loyalty or conquest is available combined with the lease incentive or the finance incentive, assuming you live in one of those states that qualify, or if you are just paying cash for the vehicle. So I try to highlight that because it's not always that way. Sometimes it's only available for certain lease or purchase options.
And you can only get it once if you have multiple vehicles. Yeah,
very good. Yeah. So if you have a Acura and you have a BMW at home, you don't get it twice. It's or.
It is or. Yeah, that's an important logic statement.
24 TLX, excluding Type S. I threw that in there. Even though the 25 is out now, the 24 has some specials on it. It's 4.9% for up to 60 months. A nice lease factor of 0.00093 for 24 to 48 months. That converts to 2.2% interest rate. You get a little bit of lease cash with that, $450. I don't know where they came up with $450. What a weird number that is.
Not just make it 500?
Yeah, just round it up. Round it up, Acura.
Come on.
And or $1,000 Acura loyalty or conquest. And I say and or because if you're doing the financing, obviously you just get $1,000 if you qualify for the Acura loyalty or conquest of these vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are doing the lease, you get the $450 plus the $1,000. Again, you don't get both. If you have a conquest and an Acura vehicle, you can't get both. Just get $1,000 plus the $450.
Yeah.
So that is the 24 TLX.
Excluded.
And the 24 Type S.
Not excluded.
Actually has a finance rate of 4.9 or the same lease rate of 0.00093. No cash incentive on that is obviously the Type S. However, if there is one of these on the ground, this is, and you are looking to lease one, this is a rare opportunity to get a special low money factor on a TLX Type S. I don't foresee many of these being left out there, but if there is, and you've been kind of dragging your feet on one, this is a good chance, especially if you're looking to lease one or even finance one. I don't even know when they had a finance rate on a Type S TLX.
That's true. Oh, that's true, yeah.
So TLX, including Type S.
Including Type S. So it looks like on 25 TLXs, I shouldn't say all we have. It's nice that they give us, we are very grateful. They give us some lease, a nice lease money factor. So 0.00227 for 24 to 48 months at a 5, that's a 5.44% rate. There's no additional cash at this point, but maybe we can expect to see that.
And I think that's partly because there's 24 still on the ground. Yeah. So if you're looking for that finance rate or the extra money, take advantage of that on a 24. 25s don't have that extra, but they do have that lease money factor if you're looking to lease one. And it's included in Type S, which I haven't seen. Well, we did get a 25 Type S. So I guess they do.
Was that 25?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember. Okay. Another little disclaimer too, like I know when people, like the incentives we're talking about is what we have as far as programs. When you go to like the website, you'll see like let's say a payment for an RDX with X amount of money down. So keep in mind, those incentives are kind of included with what we're talking about.
So they are using these incentives to get those attractive payments and programs. So.
Yeah, but you also may qualify for more if you have loyalty or conquest. It just depends on what it is. So keep that in mind when you're looking.
I'll let Matt rattle through the 2024 RDX. There are quite a few of these on the ground. This is probably one of the better deals, especially if you're an Acura owner and you have an Acura in your household. I wouldn't say that's the qualification.
Yeah, and I think the RDX actually leases for better than the TLX right now. But anyway, so the RDX is kind of the prime vehicle to get right now because we are at the end of this model cycle, obviously, as we have 25s here. So check it out. We have 3.9 and 4.9 for up to 72 months available, and they have a $1,500 sell down bonus cash on the financing. And that it is captive bonus cash, so it means you do have to finance with Acura Financial to get that. So it's something to keep in mind there. The lease rates are fantastic as well. We have a 0.00109 money factor, which converts to a 2.6. And then we have $1,500 lease cash, and then another additional $1,500 sell down lease cash, again, captive, which obviously makes sense. And then you can combine that with the lease loyalty offer of $1,000, $2,000, $2,500, depending on if you go from a base all the way up to the advanced or advanced A spec. So some huge money to take advantage of on the lease of a 24 RDX. We are at that sweet spot right now on that car. So quite a bit of cash available.
And just to reiterate on that lease incentive, you can combine the $1,500 lease cash plus sell on cash. So you get $3,000 no matter whether you have an Acura in your household. If you do have an Acura in your household, then you can move, depending on what package, you can combine that with another additional $1,000 all the way up to $2,500. So effectively, there's almost $5,500 depending on the model you're looking at on lease cash on the 24 RDX, combined with the special low lease rate for people that have an Acura in their household, 2014 or newer. So probably one of the better programs we've seen in a long time. Maybe post-COVID.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No doubt. And I don't want to get into it. We could sit here and talk all day.
So there are still a decent supply of these on the ground.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wait, though. There aren't a lot. If you're particular about color, get after it quick. Now's the time to pull the trigger on one of those. If you don't care what color you get, you can wait and see, but these aren't going to be enhanced anymore. Like this is the going out program for 24.
I mean, we are, I know we need to update this, but we're down to like small handful of techs, a small handful of bases, a couple A specs, and that's it. So,
So on to 25 RDX. I put mid-model refresh because this is the changed version of RDX, where the 24 was the current or prior version of the RDX. Finance rates, there aren't any. I don't know how to say that nicely. There aren't any. You got to get 24 if you want finance rates. However, they did just announce, and some of the programs have changed, some lease cash to go along with that low lease money factor of 0.00195, which converts to a 4.68% rate. Plus $1,000 lease cash. Now, there is no extra loyalty or conquest incentive with this. So obviously you can see not only is that rate higher than the 24, but it also does not include that extra, sell down money.
Yeah, it's probably at least $100 or more, per month more for 25. Probably something like 150.
MDX. I did leave out 24 MDX. Same scenario, 24 MDX as 24 Integra.
Yeah.
There's still maybe a handful of those on the ground, but there are no Acura incentives.
It didn't even make the cut to be on the list.
Right. I just left it out completely. We ran out of slides. So 25 MDX, we do have.
Yeah, we have the 4.9 that's available for up to 60 months, which is great. The lease incentive is the 0.00155. Again, that's 24 to 48 months. That's a 3.72 converted rate. We have the $1,500 captive lease cash, which is fantastic as well, which you can combine with the loyalty and or conquest offer. Again, that list is down at the bottom of your screen there. So additional $1,000 on top of that.
So again, just to reiterate, you can take that loyalty and or conquest. You get one of $1,000 and combine it with that $1,500 captive lease cash for a total of $2,500 lease cash, and use that along with that money factor of 0.00155. So that's the best lease on the 25 as of yet.
Yeah.
So that's pretty attractive versus what it was before. And that was one change that they made at the beginning of the month as well. So if you shopped for one last month, you didn't like those numbers, come back and look at that. Because depending on what you have, what you own, it could have been changed and adjusted. It changed at least by $1,500 because the money wasn't there before.
Yep. But then keep in mind the residual goes down. Something that, like the background, like people don't realize, while the incentives sometimes may look better, just keep in mind the residuals do change as time goes on as well. So,
Yep. And for whatever reason,
they are. It is for whatever. I didn't even realize that they have a finance rate at 4.9 on the Type S 2025 MDX, and then they have it's the same money factor.
Yeah.
The 0.00155. Interesting. Well, hey, if you want to Type S 25, which we have one, there's not a ton out there right now, but at least I guess they're putting forth an effort to sell it.
So what's nice, I think this car is going to be, I wouldn't say mainstream, but it's going to be a little more accessible. The gap between the Type S and the regular MDX was a pretty large gap. From a financial side, if you're looking to lease it, it was quite a bit of difference. So it really kind of, if someone was buying one, what, you were spending extra money. Now, the lease will be a little more competitive.
Yeah.
It's still going to be an expensive car. It's still in the $70,000 range, so it's not cheap. But if you're looking to lease it, it makes it a little more attractive.
A little more palatable.
Yeah. Now to the big one. I actually
to
start with ZDX. I'm going to do the finance side of the ZDX first, and then we'll talk about the lease. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on the lease, not too much time, just a few minutes, trying to explain all the incentives that are available on it. This one I did hold to the end because I even saw some articles out there explaining that there is a great program on the ZDX, but they did have this money wrong.
Oh, interesting.
In other words, they were trying to stack it all together, which you can stack a lot of it, but I think the headline I saw, you could save over $30,000. That's not correct.
Ooh.
You can save a lot. Don't get me wrong, you'll see, but it's not $30,000. So there's some few things. So if you're going to finance one of these, some great, obviously a fantastic finance rate, 0.9 for 72 months. Can't go wrong there. It is eligible for the $7,500 tax credit as long as you are eligible. The vehicle is eligible. And I say that because you need to double check to make sure that your income and you meet those requirements to receive that $7,500. And you can get the $7,500 as a rebate applied to the car immediately. It's not something you have to wait till you do your taxes at the end of the year.
Good point.
That was the thing in the past, but they have changed that. That's finance side of it. They also offer a loyalty or conquest program. And so that is a loyalty of Acura, 2014 or newer. Acura, BMW, you can go through it. It's a long list, including some new ones in there.
The Rivian's on there.
Yeah. Rivian's on there. Polestar's in there. Some new stuff that they have not had on there. Chevrolet, Ford, those typically were not conquest vehicles before. They are now because obviously we're looking at a EV. And so they want to open that market up even more so that there's a lot more vehicles there it's eligible for. And if you don't qualify for that, you're going to qualify for the Loyalty Conquest Upgrade offer, and that is to anybody that owns a 2000 to 2013 automobile.
So if you're breathing.
Right. So if you just have one of these in your driveway and it's in your household, you qualify for $4,000 too. So
I don't think there's like stipulations on how long you've had to own that car either.
No, it's either or, right? Yeah. So you get one of those 4,000, you get the 7,500 if you qualify for it, and you get that 0.9% rate. Yep. That's on a purchase, which that's obviously pretty attractive. You can stack up some money there on a purchase.
Yep.
Or you can lease it. And I'll let Matt go through the lease.
Give me all right. So the fun one is the lease because this is there was an article that said $30,000. I mean, anyway, we'll talk about that in a second. All right, so the lease money factor is 0.00120, which is a 2.8 rate, which is great. There's $6,300 captive lease cash, $1,650, or the $1,000. Oh, I forgot that's regional. That's right. On that. So which one are we in?
So we're in.
Oh, it's $1,000. Yeah.
So depending where you live, this is the same as what we talked about before. You either qualify for the 1,000 or the 1,650. That's the only difference in these incentives. So keep that in mind. There's a $650 difference between what you could qualify for. But at the very least, you're going to qualify for that.
I love the region that we're apparently in. Hawaii is HI is Hawaii, right? HI and there's also Arizona, and then it's Ohio. Whatever random. Anyway, you are. Everyone's is eligible for the $7,500 tax credit, which again, like Justin said, is applied at the time of purchase. So it's right there. It's right on top of that. There's also the $4,000 loyalty or conquest. And again, keep in mind that's you just qualify for the one because there's also the $4,000 if you don't have a car that falls in that list there. You probably qualify for the other one, perhaps. Somehow I was left out at one point. But
at one point, but they added you back in.
Added me back in. Yeah, they had Honda off there. But so if you have a Honda, you're back in the game now. So if you add just the incentives up, did you do that? Oh, you did delete. Look at you. Oh, my goodness. $19,450 for essentially just coming in, or $18,000. Yeah, that's right, depending on your residency. So this is where, I wonder what they're coming up with the $30,000. But anyway, so obviously that's an incredible chunk of money. That's territory we haven't seen before as far as leasing. Yeah, it's not even close.
And granted, this is a new car, right? This is a new world. We have not had an electric car before. Nobody, I mean, I'd say nobody has, but I mean, it's new to the brand, to the industry as we move forward. Yeah, and and we're testing the market, right? They're seeing where this goes. And this is what Matt and I talked about.
If you will.
Did we talk about on the other podcast?
On the other podcast.
Where we don't know how these incentives are going to play out in the future. Is this to get the car out on the road? Some people say, no, this can continue on. Well, to a degree. I mean,
it could be a chunk like this, but it may like you said, to a degree, as time goes on. Again, this is like we want people to get the car on the road. It needs exposure, right? And that's the idea behind this, is that we need to make it attractive enough to where people who are like, they just can't say no to it, essentially, right? And but anyway, so and again, the other thing too is, like, if you're considering one of these, the lease is kind of the way to go for a number of reasons. Obviously, the money off is great, but also gives you a chance to experience the car for 3 years, and you're not like committed to it, for a long time. Actually, the other thing to point out, it is only up to a 36-month lease. It is not up to 48 months.
Good point out. And it actually works out pretty good depending on how you structure that to go somewhere between 24 and 36. I've seen some people do 27, 29 months, somewhere in between there as kind of an odd term. So make sure you have your dealer figure those different terms, because depending on your scenario and what you're trying to accomplish. A 2-year lease might be a good option if you're not sure how this is going to play out. This is a great example of a vehicle that this is a good thing to do that on.
And the other incentive that's not listed on here is the one where they include your charging unit. I think that, I know that's
so the charging unit is included in the sale price of the vehicle, where you lease or purchase it. Keep that in mind. What was the other thing that
the tax credit or not the tax credit, the installation credit. Yeah. So the installation credit. And so, something we have learned about that is, if you're getting an Acura, you are supposed to go through the homeelectric.acura.com website.
And you might even want to go there first before you sign on the dotted line. So you're aware of how that process works. You basically, they reach out to local contractors in your area to schedule that. You might want to get an estimate on, what's it cost to put that charger in. You get the unit, which is a great perk, because this is expensive. They're expensive units. It's included the vehicle, and most manufacturers don't include it. As a matter of fact, I'm sure there are some, but I don't know. I don't know of any, and it's expensive. So that part is handled. The part you have to handle is getting that wired into your house, which could be anywhere from as little as, I've heard, them paying their local electrician $100 to $1,500, $2,000 or more, depending on the service and how your service set up for your house and how far away it is from the actual point.
And the other assumption that I just thought of is that this could, since they're kind of giving this stuff, this could help future proof your home.
It's not a terrible idea to actually have a charger already built in your house, right? How good is that as you go down the road for resale?
Right.
As much as you might not like electric cars, or we don't think it's going to last, it's not going away anytime soon. They're going to be a percentage of the market almost no matter what now. And I think Tesla's already made that clear, that this is happening and it's here to stay. Would some other type of alternative fuel potentially come down the road? Maybe, but this is going to be a percentage of the market. And I think as things start to level out, we see the level of interest. There's still, even, 5-10 years from now, there's a certain percentage of the market they say it's going to be electric, and this is going to be whatever it is, gas, hybridized, whatever. So that's the incentives. Again, let us know if there's any questions on any of that. Hopefully that made sense. Again, there's times you can combine those things together. There's times you can't combine them. Loyalty and conquest, you can almost never combine the two, loyalty and conquest. However, you can combine it with finance or lease incentives, depending on the scenario. And there are times, and I don't think we had an example in there. Actually, we did, and we didn't point that out. Well, we did point it. We did. Never mind.
Which one was it?
RDX. So finance that extra cash. If you finance an RDX, you need to use Acura Financial to get that cash. And I'd like to point that out, because you can't, everybody says cashers can't even walk in and tell them I'm going to pay cash. There's no problem with that, but you do not get that $1,500. It comes from Acura Financial.
We have to.
Right. So if there's no loan process, there's no rebate that's paid out. So it's not a dealer-based decision. It is purely, that's where the money comes from. So, not our rules. You don't like them, call Acura and let them know.
Complain.
But there are some nice incentives. 24 RDX is one to jump on if you're out there. And seriously, if you're thinking about the electric car, or you like the ZDX, period, and you're thinking about it, I don't know what's going to happen down the road. Some people say, well, they're just going to get cheaper. I don't know. If it's 70,000, there's only so many ways you can slice up 70,000 to make it look cheap or less expensive, however you want to say it. Because at 70, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
There's only so many ways you can do that. So definitely seriously consider that if it's on your bucket.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening again and watching. And check out our other podcast. That one should be posted. I'm not sure with the order of that, how they're going to get out there. But again, thank you so much for listening. Make sure you like and subscribe. It helps us out a ton. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
See you soon.
Done.